Hi guys. Strange things are happening in the world. Pakistan, for the first time in the history of humanity, seems less obsessed with terrorists and more obsessed with the Indus Valley Civilization. The Islamic State of Pakistan wants to be called Hindu. That's right. Can you believe it? When terrorism doesn't help, you turn to history. That's the Pakistani mindset for you.
India and Pakistan are fighting another war.
No. This is not war. It looks more like circus. And they're the clowns. They're making fun of themselves.
Not over territory, but over a 9,000-year-old civilization. Let's see who really has a case. Starting with geography. Of the roughly 1,500 known IVC sites, the majority are actually in India, spread across Gujarat, Haryana, Rajasthan, and Punjab. India has the largest site of Rakhigadi, almost twice the size of Mohenjo-daro, as well as the oldest site of Biruna, at 7,500 BC, or 3 millennia older than some Egyptian pyramids. The iconic port cities of the IVC are also in India, Lotho and Dholavira. Now, when it comes to genetics, the IVC forms the largest component in all Indian groups on average, but shows particular similarity to modern-day Gujaratis and some South Indian groups as well. What about culture? Well, the IVC has left behind fire altars, yogic figurines, mother goddess worship, ritual bathing tanks, sacred people trees, lingams, and of course the iconic Pashupati seal.
This is a Pashupati seal and that is Lord Shiva. Does it look like it can have anything to do with Pakistan or Islam? Like... Who are they trying to fool?
And every single one of these is a lived experience or form of worship in India today, but not in Pakistan, which has genocided its Hindu minority. And lastly, how about linguistics? While we don't know the language of the civilization for sure, one theory claims at least a part of it spoke an early version of Dravidian language, and those are almost exclusively spoken in South India. So I think the evidence speaks for itself here. Almost a clean sweep in one direction. One side seems to be LARPing, the other is living the reality of the Indus Valley Civilization.
Simple as that. They're just LARPing. End of the debate. Okay, this is the story bar. Why Pakistan suffers from multiple father syndrome. In the 1950s, the founding ideology demanded Arab roots. So everyone was descended from Arabic traders and conquerors, and the subcontinent was just a waiting room. When Pan-Arabism collapsed and the Gulf states made it clear they considered South Asians a servant class, suddenly the ancestry shifted to Central Asia. Noble Turkic and Persian blood flowing through every vein in Lahore. When that romance faded, the Erdogan era made Ottoman identity cool. So Pakistani social media discovered its deep Anatolian soul. Now after 2020, with India's global rise impossible to ignore and the diaspora increasingly embarrassed abroad, suddenly the Indus Valley is reclaimed. The shared culture is celebrated. And Mohenjo-daro is back on the mood board. The technical term for this is instrumental ethnogenesis, inventing or reinventing an ethnic origin story to serve a present political or psychological need. The Turks do the same thing, certain Central Asian Turkish groups oscillating between claiming Mongol, Persian and Turkic heritage, depending on which identity carries more prestige in a given decade. But what makes Pakistan's version uniquely spectacular is the speed and the completeness of each reinvention. There's no gradual drift. Every shift is total, unself-conscious, and completely unaware of the previous version. The ancestry doesn't evolve, it gets deleted and reinstalled. This is the prime example of an identity crisis. Pakistan doesn't have anything of its own, it's all borrowed. There is no such thing as Pakistani civilization. It's a made-up country. It's a fake country. You can say that it's a fake country. And now they're saying that India was also created in 1947, which is just... How can someone have the audacity to say something like this on the internet? India existed way before 1947. It was the East India Company, not East Pakistan Company. When the British came, Megasthenes wrote about India, not some random country called Pakistan. Pakistan never existed. It's a forcefully created country by Islamic extremists.
So Pakistan is claiming the Indus Valley Civilization as its own. Now before you laugh and say that Pakistan did not even exist back then, stop. Kabhi to seriously liya karo. But the civilization itself existed roughly between 3300 BC and 1300 BC. Pakistan was created in 1947. So while Pakistan can rightfully preserve and celebrate...
Preserve? They never cared about the IVC. UNESCO has to remind Pakistan that it exists. They're just so obsessed with destroying India that these things don't matter to them. What would they do with art and culture? You never know, tomorrow they'll start claiming that they're American. because their schools have a mass shooting problem.
Celebrate these sites, the people who built them lived thousands of years before Pakistan even existed. But in its 77 years of existence, you think Pakistan suddenly cares about archaeology or history? See, unlike countries like China, Iran, India, that built their national identity around an ancient civilization, Pakistan was created as a homeland for Muslims during the partition of India. And for decades, its national narrative focused primarily on Islam, particularly the arrival of Islam in the region. So in other words, Pakistan's founding story was largely religious rather than civilizational. And the Indus Valley Civilization gives Pakistan access to an ancient past so it can position itself as the inheritor of one of the world's oldest urban civilizations. But they don't want the Indus Valley Civilization. They just want the Indus.
Yeah, there you are. That's the Pasupati seal. Well, what you'll see is that underneath it, the way his feet are organized is that his heels are pointed forwards. This is a really difficult yoga position. To sit like that and have your heels pointed forward, you've got to kind of almost disjoint your legs in order to do that, okay? And the problem with that is that it's an advanced yoga position. It's found in a seal that's 5,000 years old. We have to ask ourselves, how many thousands of years before that was yoga being developed?
Be very careful with your words. The Pakistani bots might say that it was just an ancient religious extremist stretching before entering India through those tunnels.
Again, there's a hint of a lost human culture in this. The posture is called Mulabandasana. And I certainly can't do it.
Unbelievable. Because what do we date modern Indian civilization back to? So
Well,
5,000 years
since
ago?
the
Or
Indus-
4,000.
Yeah, since the discovery of the Indus Valley Civilization, you know, we have to accept that civilization in India is at least 5,000 years old. The largely and correctly discredited notion of an Aryan invasion of India needs to be abandoned as well. Yes, there were multiple cultures moving back and forwards, but Indian culture is extremely ancient.
5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
These are two cities with the same name. You can see, this is what they do when they inherit Indian things.
This is the third time this week.
The only thing, I must say, where no other country can compete with Pakistan, they don't believe in sending spacecrafts to the moon. They send tires.
हमारा मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी में हमारा एक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है। हमारा पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ये है कि आप इतने पापड़ नहीं बेलने की ज़रूरत। चांद जो है वो नज़र आ जाता है, एग्जैक्टली उसकी लोकेशन पता होती है, ये पता होता है कब उसकी बर्थ हो रही है, किस टेरिटरी में उसका क्या अल्टीट्यूड होगा, एग्जैक्टली पता होता है।
He's basically saying that their point of view on science and technology is that they don't believe in going to the moon. When you can see the moon from Earth, why go there? Exactly. This is the Pakistani mindset I was talking about, guys. Why do you have to care about people and the development of your country? You can always beg for loans.
Apparently, saris are younger than my grandma. Apparently, they came from Pakistan. You heard that right. Apparently, a lot of Pakistani influencers are claiming Indian heritage. They call it Pakistani fashion. Even though we all know that saris came originally from ancient Bharat. Yes, those ancient sari drapes, which was once called Antariya, Uttariya and Nivi, which later transformed in sari. This is why I'm against that word South Asian. Because while Indians are using South Asian, brown, or South Asian fashion,
Ugh, what is South Asian? Just call it Indian.
Daisy aesthetics, people out here are claiming our heritage. This is why it's important to call your heritage by their name, by their ancient name, because it's Indian, it's ancient Indian, because it came from ancient India. We can complain about white people all day long, but what should we call this? Because this is also rebranding. This is also cultural appropriation. And let's also not forget that our culture, our Vedic culture came from Hindu Dharma, Sanatana Dharma. That religion, those people are trying to destroy in Pakistan.
That's the thing, you know, it's the same people that tried to destroy the culture over the years. The culture that they're claiming now.
The Indian armed forces say that altogether 9 sites have been targeted, that they haven't hit any Pakistani military facilities. These are terrorist camps that they are hitting.
Let me make it very clear, there are no terrorist camps in Pakistan. There are no terrorist camps in Pakistan.
Yeah, and Osama lived in Japan. This is their information minister. I'm pretty sure he will deny the existence of the Pakistani grouping gangs in the UK as well. If you're lying, at least try to make it believable. You don't always have to flex your IQ.
Can I just point out to you, on my program just a week ago, your defense minister, Khwaja Asif, admitted that Pakistan has for decades had a policy of funding, backing and using terrorist groups as proxies in the country. In fact, in 2018, President Donald Trump cut military aid to Pakistan because he accused Pakistan of playing a double game. So when you say there are no terrorist camps in Pakistan, that is going against what General Pervez Musharraf has said, what Benazir Bhutto has said, what your defense minister said just a week ago. In fact, what Bilawal Bhutto said to me a few days ago, he said that terrorism and funding and backing terrorist organizations has been and was part of Pakistan's history.
The Pakistani army, ISI, trained Al-Qaeda and all these groups to fight in Afghanistan. There were always links between there had to be links because they trained them. Now, as I said, after 9/11, when we did a 180-degree turn and went after those groups, you know, not everyone agreed with us. But in the army, people didn't agree with us.
Because that army can't get rid of their actual soldiers. These are the same people that held protests after Osama bin Laden was assassinated by the US. These guys still call him their hero. It came from the Indus Valley Civilization. They have a stadium named after the Libyan dictator Gaddafi. But nothing there is named after something that is even remotely closer to the IVC or Indian civilization. Oh wait, I heard that they have started renaming places there.
In a rare event, Rahman Gali in Lahore has become Ram Gali. Pakistan is returning to its old Hindu roots.
Cities like Lahore, Rawalpindi, Multan, Peshawar, there were roads named after Hindu leaders. Ziaul Haq came into power in 1980s. The Islamization of Pakistan started.
Nearly 80 years after partition, the streets of Pakistan's Lahore returning to their older Hindu, Sikh, Jain and colonial names.
Quite intriguing because Pakistan is known for suppression of its minorities. Pakistan is known for extremism. Pakistan is known for barbarism against Muhajirs and Hindus. And
why Pakistan is changing names of Lahore?
Now they want to be Indian. You know the reason. So this popular influencer said something about Pakistan.
2 weeks ago, 26 innocent civilians, for those who haven't been following the story, were killed by militants in Kashmir. Just last night, India responded with strikes of their own. Dozens of people we've heard have been killed already. From what you're hearing, I mean, how do you see this playing out? Where do you see it going?
I think India had to retaliate because you see the history of how these attacks have happened and how involved Pakistan is in these things. And it's not just about India, that even Osama bin Laden was being harbored in Pakistan before. So I feel that India had to retaliate in some way or other, and now they have retaliated by attacking 9 different sites. And one of the family members who is United Nations designated himself.
India's been careful to say that this is not inflammatory.
Exactly.
That it's focused, targeted strikes. But I mean, What do you think the likelihood is of this turning out into all-out war?
I would say low likelihood, considering that these things have happened in the past also.
It was a different world in the past, right?
I mean, past as in like just 3-4 years ago
Yeah.
also, these things happened. Like constantly there's tension between India and Pakistan like this. Because constantly there's like infiltration happening, and it's like, I think the Western media only reported on this recent attack, which was on a larger scale. But if you see on a smaller scale, it has been happening, I think, almost on an yearly basis in Kashmir.
Look at this comment. Did not expect this from you. What were you expecting him to say? Did you expect him to be delusional like you and say that Pakistan isn't the hub of terrorism? This also shows the kind of audience he caters to.
Pakistan claims it shot down 5 Indian Air Force jets and a drone, as I understand it. India says there's no evidence of that, no proof. So can you provide more detail? Hold on. Can you provide more detail?
It's all over the social media, on Indian social media, not on our social media. The debris of these jets fell into Indian occupied Kashmir, and it's all over Indian media today.
You're the defense minister.
Their media has
the reason to talk to you today, sir, it's not to talk about content all over social media. I'm sorry. It's not to talk about content all over social media. I'm asking you very specifically for the evidence, for the details.
This guy is under the influence of something called Lahori Churan. It makes you forget reality. You start living in your own delusional world. That's the majority of Pakistan for you. They don't think before speaking. They would say the stupidest shit you've ever heard and expect you to make sense of it. Can we have a glance over the super scientific physics book from Pakistan? He inducted several principles and laws in it to sustain its functions. Alright, I didn't know that. Now from the day of their creation, every particle of the laws of nature. What? Okay, it's a physics book. You shouldn't expect it to get the grammar right. This is beyond human comprehension. Maybe the next Aryabhat, Newton, Einstein, they're gonna come from Pakistan.
जमीन रोटेट कर रही है
जी
जमीन तो साकिन है बेटा जमीन तो जमीन रोटेट करती ही नहीं है जमीन गर्दिश नहीं करती
लेकिन हमें ज्योग्राफी में पढ़ाया जाता है कि अर्थ जो है वो सूरज का चक्कर लगाता है
ये लॉजिक ये गलत है बेटा साइंस की ये थ्योरी जो है ना ये दुरुस्त नहीं है असल जो थ्योरी है ना वो कुरान और हदीस वाली है और
what is wrong with these people? Don't call it pseudoscience, okay? This is parascience.
आला हजरत जो हमारे ना इमाम अहले सुन्नत आला हजरत ने ये प्रूफ किया है कि जमीन साकिन है यानी जमीन मूव नहीं करती साकिन को एक अच्छा सा वर्ड इंग्लिश का होता होगा साकिन का स्टैटिक अर्थ स्टैटिक पोजीशन में है तो ये मूव नहीं करती
It appears your brain is also in a static position. It hasn't grown since the year 1400.
और साइंस कहती है कि जमीन मूव करती है आला हजरत हमारे इमाम अहले सुन्नत ने कुरान से साबित किया है कि जमीन मूव नहीं करती तो हमने बात कौन सी माननी है इस्लाम की दीन की आला हजरत इस्लाम और दीन
इमेजिन करिए कि आप क्लास में बैठे हुए हैं और वहां पर आपके साइंस के टीचर आपको ये बताते हैं कि इवोल्यूशन एक बहुत ही अनसाइंटिफिक चीज है और इसका कोई बुनियाद नहीं है या फिर यूनिवर्स की स्टार्टिंग एक डिवाइन फ्रेज से हुई थी या फिर मैथमेटिक्स के कुछ शब्द गलत है ये पाकिस्तान के साइंस टेक्स्ट बुक्स की नॉर्मल चीजें हैं पाकिस्तान के साइंटिफिक टेक्स्ट बुक में एक बहुत बड़ा क्राइसिस चल रहा है वहां के टेक्स्ट बुक्स में अनसाइंटिफिक बातें एकदम से इंजेक्ट कर दी जाती है साइंस टेक्स्ट बुक्स में अनसाइंटिफिक क्लेम्स और रिलीजन इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन का सिस्टम इंक्लूजन ये सिर्फ एजुकेशन की बात नहीं है बल्कि उनके देश के साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी को भी इंपैक्ट करता है पाकिस्तान की पॉपुलेशन का ऑलमोस्ट 64% यूथ है जो कि 30 के अंडर आता है अगर इतने सारे लोगों को ऐसी बातें सिखाई जाएंगी तो उसका इंपैक्ट सीधा पाकिस्तान पे तो पड़ेगा ही लेकिन उसके अलावा इंडिया और आसपास के देशों पे भी असर पड़ेगा क्योंकि यही आइडियोलॉजिकल माइंड वहां के डिप्लोमेट्स बनेंगे वहां के ब्यूरोक्रेट्स बनेंगे और उनकी वजह से हमें प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है
It is already happening. The kind of things their ministers and diplomats say, it's 5-year-olds say more logical things than them.
पंजाब प्रोविंस में 2020 में पंजाब करिकुलम एंड टेक्स्ट बुक बोर्ड अमेंडमेंट एक्ट पास किया गया जिसके थ्रू मुत्ताहिदा उलेम बोर्ड को एक्सटेंसिव पावर मिली एजुकेशन कंटेंट को सेंसर करने के लिए सिर्फ रिलीजियस सब्जेक्ट नहीं बल्कि साइंस और मैथमेटिक्स भी अब एमयूपी की जो डिमांड थी वो भी बहुत ही ज्यादा अजीब थी सबसे पहले बायोलॉजी टेक्स्ट बुक में एनाटॉमिकल डायग्राम पर क्लोथिंग ऐड करने की डिमांड की। अभी हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया कि अगर मेडिकल स्टूडेंट एक क्लोथ वाला डायग्राम देख के स्टडी करेंगे तो ह्यूमन पार्ट की अच्छी एक्यूरेट इंफॉर्मेशन कहां से मिलेगी और फिर वो कैसे डॉक्टर बनेंगे, हम सबको पता है। इकोनॉमिक्स और मैथमेटिक्स टेक्स्ट बुक से इंटरेस्ट और मार्कअप जैसे बेसिक फाइनेंशियल टर्म्स रिमूव करने की डिमांड की है। मॉडर्न इकोनॉमी का फाउंडेशन है बैंकिंग सिस्टम और बैंकिंग सिस्टम का फाउंडेशन है इंटरेस्ट कॉन्सेप्ट। विदाउट अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस कॉन्सेप्ट स्टूडेंट्स इंटरनेशनल फाइनेंस को समझेंगे कैसे?
They don't need to learn finance. The IMF is there to do that.
2021 में पाकिस्तान ने सिंगल नेशनल करिकुलम इंट्रोड्यूस किया जिसका स्टेटेड गोल था एजुकेशन डिस्पैरिटी को रिड्यूस करना। लेकिन रिपोर्ट के अकॉर्डिंग एनएससी के थ्रू रिलीजियस कंटेंट और भी ज्यादा प्रमोट हुआ उन कंटेंट में जिनमें पहले वो था भी नहीं। एजुकेशन मिनिस्ट्री के ऑफिशियल डॉक्यूमेंट के अकॉर्डिंग एनएससी के की कंसिडरेशन में सबसे टॉप प्रायोरिटी टीचिंग ऑफ द कुरान को दी गई है। अब एनएससी टेक्स्ट बुक अप्रूवल में भी एमयूबी जो कि इस्लामिक आइडियोलॉजी बढ़ाने के लिए पहले ही फेमस थी, उनको एक ऑफिशियल रोल दिया गया ताकि वो इस आइडियोलॉजी को यहां पर भी बढ़ा सके। अब सबसे बड़ा सवाल, इस एजुकेशन सिस्टम से वहां के लोगों पे क्या इंपैक्ट पड़ रहा है और इससे हमें क्या फर्क पड़ता है? सबसे पहला, क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग का सप्रेशन। जब रिलीजियस डॉगमा को साइंटिफिक फैक्ट के रूप में प्रेजेंट किया जाता है तो क्वेश्चनिंग, क्रिटिकल एनालिसिस और स्केप्टिसिज्म डिस्करेज होते हैं। साइंस का फाउंडेशन ही क्वेश्चनिंग के ऊपर होता है।
You cannot question anything. Everything these people do has to be about religion. And this is why, whenever you talk about these people or these nations, religion will be a point of discussion because everything is centered around religion. Indian philosophy, Indian way of thinking is all about asking questions. You're encouraged to ask as many questions as you can.
If you are part of the Vedic civilization, you ought to understand we are not Christians, we are not Muslims, we are not Jews. Our God is not Heavenly Father sitting outside of the universe enforcing strict laws and commandments onto us. Our God is us. Our God is this bottle. Our God is everything. This material universe exists within my mind, and my mind exists within awareness, and awareness is what is truth, what is Parabrahman, what is God.
And how do you get there? By asking questions. This is so fundamental to the Indian way of living. I won't talk about symbolism because they won't understand. So in the language that they understand, deity worship is considered something like a sin in their religion, in their culture. But looking at the remains from the Indus Valley Civilization, you can clearly see that they practiced deity worship, heavily practiced it. You have your answer. See, you cannot fool the world. It is 2026. Your propaganda has to be believable.
So when the Greeks came to India, what did they say? They didn't say
they were coming to Pakistan. They came to India. And the book was called Indica, not Pakistica.
Say we're coming to a primitive place. For them, and the Greeks, like Alexander, it said they thought India was a very advanced civilization. And there was one of their authors named Megasthenes. He did a book called Indica. It hasn't survived. But one of its passages said, he came about the time of Alexander, that he found a history in India of 153 kings going back more than 6,400 years. What Megasthenes found was evidence of an earlier calendar of 3,600 years, from 6,700 years to 3,100 BCE, which is also well into the pre-Harappan era.
Okay, this has to be a joke.
The first recorded Hindu deity is older than history itself, and let me explain. And this takes place before the Vedas, before temples, and before Sanskrit was even fully formed. Archaeologists found figures in the Indus Valley Civilization that represent a horned yogi sitting in a meditative posture. Many believe the figure is an early form of Pashupati, the lord of animals, otherwise known as Lord Shiva. Then comes the Rig Veda, one of the oldest texts on earth. And in its hymns, some of the first major gods appear in name. Agni, the god of fire and transformation. Indra, the storm warrior who defeated chaos. Varuna, the guardian of cosmic law. And Soma, the mystical nectar of immortality. But all in all, Hinduism doesn't really begin with just one god. It evolves like consciousness itself, from cosmic forces into philosophy, into the realization that all gods are the expression of one infinite reality.
I didn't call this video a propaganda police episode because I don't think it's a successful propaganda yet. It's just, as I said, it's a circus. The clowns have just turned themselves into a laughing stock as usual. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Stop stealing Indian culture, and India doesn't want anything to do with Pakistan. The Indus Valley Civilization was, is, and will always remain Indian or Bharatiya, whatever names India has. And I'll see you guys in the next video.